happen to look at the birds coming up next season. All right?
Got it.
All right, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, well, first of all, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, he's ready, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for another episode of Metrics and Mayhem. We are itching close to our 40th episode of this podcast, on our way to 100 this year. That's my goal.
Famous 40s.
Famous 40, Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers, our Gale Sayers episode.
How about a baseball 40? You got a baseball 40 in you? Or how about just a 40 ounce? Can we just go with the 40?
Old English.
Yeah, right?
Oui.
So Metrics and Mayhem here. This one, I think, is 39 or 38. But how about I'll give you any 38 or 39? Let's do that one first.
Kurt Schilling.
That's a good one.
38. For 38, Kurt Schilling.
A 39. Why am I feeling like there's a hockey 39 I should know?
Let's look it up.
39. Running back. No running backs really held 39, right? Was it Mike Allstott a 40? I think Allstott was a 40. That's weird. I can't think of a 39 running back, but it was traditionally 20 to 39, right?
Fast Willie Parker.
Oh, Willie Parker. That's a good one. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, Pittsburgh
White
Steelers.
shoes Willie Parker. He was a bald dog 16th rounder, if I remember correctly.
Some notable 39s.
Go ahead.
Andy Reid wore 39.
Really?
Don Shula wore 39.
I would have never got that. All right.
A lot of coaches.
Wow.
A lot of coaches. Don Shula. How about all right, I got Pro Football Reference here. How about Antonio Allen?
I got nothing.
Yeah, he 39.
Would you go into a sport, like if you were going in, would you kind of comb through the numbers ahead of time? Like obviously when we were kids, we would kind of comb through and like, all right, I'm going to wear number 23 for whoever. I'm going to wear 24 for Kobe. Did you ever like get into that at all? Were you a fan?
So I wore for the longest time 31 for Mike Piazza.
Oh, wow.
And then once I got to high school, 31 was taken, so I switched to 33.
Okay.
For Jason Varitek.
Okay.
So 31 and 33 were my two numbers.
Yeah. Excellent.
But I also at one point wore 10 for
that's got to be Dutch, right?
Dutch.
Very good.
R.I.P. Dutch.
Like that. Well, why don't we use that as kind of like a jump into some baseball talk? Because as much as I've been trying to avoid it, baseball is right around the corner.
It's back, baby.
We are back. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of getting into the season, which I haven't really been talking to you too much about. But what's getting me into the season are all the nice stories coming from yesteryear. Right. You know, okay. I saw the one of the Phillies pitcher Orion with his dad crying in the stand. Like it's good, right? I'm liking this.
Yes.
And I was just this one right here with Soto, right? I just saw the story with Juan Soto. He was wearing 22, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
And then the guy on the Mets who's wearing 22, he gave up his jersey number to Soto, and Soto bought him a truck or whatever.
You know, I hate those stories.
Oh, come on.
Let me tell you why. Because
I love them.
I love them and I hate them. And I hate them because
how could you hate that story?
They give up the number for nothing. Like Juan Soto is going to be worth $700 million.
Yes.
Right? How about give me $150K a year for the entire year of your contract?
You would really ask somebody for that much money for a number?
Absolutely. If it means that much to you, knock yourself out. Yeah, like because
you would be the most hated man in the dugout.
Because this is what's going to happen when Juan Soto goes into a slump and he blames the number. I got leverage. I got bargaining power.
Dude, you're like Joe Boo with the KFC.
Yeah, guess what? That price goes up. He's like, hey, listen, it's 150. That's 200 now.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's some bad juju right there.
I bought you a Rolex. You buy me a Rolex every year.
Uh-huh.
You want to buy me a Rolex? Buy me one every year that you wear that number on this team.
Would you
have the number?
Would you pay for the number you've been wearing?
No.
If you're Soto, would you pay for it?
No.
And then on the other side, you wouldn't sell it.
Oh God, yeah, both. Yeah, you're spot on. I would never pay for a number. I would never sell the number. Supply and demand, baby.
Yeah, I like it. Well, hey, that's why you're in sales,
Yeah,
man. You're
I'm
making it
not.
happen.
I mean, listen, I had my numbers, but I was never superstitious about it. It was never
Okay.
like, oh, I need this number to play well. Never. If it wasn't available, I got another one. It was okay.
Got it.
Never bothered me.
All right, very good. Well, talk to me about your fight in Phils. All I've heard as an outsider is I've heard a lot of Mets spending. I've heard a lot of Dodger spending. What's
Yep.
happening in Philadelphia? Where do you stand with the upcoming season?
I mean, for the most part, I mean, yeah, they've changed a little bit as far as their everyday starter goes. I think the biggest thing is that there's going to be a little bit more of a change at catcher. I don't personally see Garrett Stubbs making this team. And I think that's a good thing because I think Rafael Marchand is actually an excellent catcher, and I think he can contribute right away.
What about
Uh,
Lieberthal?
Max Kepler coming in and being a platoon guy. Cal Stevenson coming in being a platoon guy. I think we have a deeper bench this year. I think our pitching staff has gotten tremendously better over next year. But for the most part, it's about relying on the superstars that you have. Um, Turner has to be the superstar we paid for. Bryce has to just keep doing what he's doing.
You would agree that investment has been worth it so far?
Turner, no.
No. Bryce Harper.
Oh, Bryce Harper has paid off dividends. Yeah. I think of every free agent signing the city of Philadelphia had, you get the most value for it so far has been Harper, but he needs to win a title.
Okay.
In order to be that, cherry on top of a career, he's got an MVP here. He's a multi-time All-Star. He's a guy that everybody depends on. He comes up clutch. We need to win a chip with Harper here in order for it to be a successful stint. However, I do feel like Turner's been a colossal failure because you paid him just as much money as you've done Harper, and he has not lived up to expectations. I think Castellanos, you paid for what you got. You knew what you were getting. He's come on in the last couple years. I think Schwarber's been solid. I think the young guys have to take a step forward. Stott was a disappointment last year. Stott needs to be the guy he was 2 years ago. If Stott's the guy he was 2 years ago, it's going to be a great addition. Stott let us down last year.
How about in center field, right field
Yeah,
too?
Brandon Marsh. I mean, listen, we grew up in the era where our outfielders hit bombs.
Yes, right.
Right. Yep. And I feel like now the infielders hit bombs and the outfielders are just fast guys.
Right. Like now I feel like Brandon Marsh is like Kevin Stocker back in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Like our shortstop. I mean, Jimmy Rollins was more of an anomaly. And Jimmy for the Hall of Fame. I'm starting to petition now because if that fraud Ozzie Smith is in the Hall of Fame, Jimmy Rollins deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Preach.
You're never gonna not get me off that soapbox that Jimmy Rollins deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Yeah, I would sacrifice. Now this is where the nerds like you ruined baseball. Okay, the metrics, pencil pushing, computer having, abacus loving nerds ruin baseball by doing all kinds of defensive metrics, saying, "Oh, we need to save this run here, save that run here." Give me a 230-pound moose of a man hitting 50 bombs and maybe catching 3 fly balls in the outfield. That's what I want on my team. I want
Albert Bell.
I want Albert Bell in left. I want Barry Bonds in right. I want Ken Griffey Jr. in center. I want to average 170 home runs in my outfield. I mean, maybe 50 home runs. I think that was probably the most the Phillies had in their outfield. 50.
Yeah.
Back when we were growing up, that was one guy.
That was one guy. Absolutely. That was even Brady Anderson when he was doing the
Brady
roids.
Anderson. That was Jim Edmonds.
Yeah, absolutely. How about Rick Ankiel, Don? Let's go to Rick Ankiel.
Rick Ankiel.
Right?
They
don't make it. Yeah, right. Exactly. They don't make them like they used to.
I need more production out of my outfielders. I don't care how well they can track down a ball. Guess what? Who cares? You saved one run, but they can't make up 2 with their bats. So for me, it's like I need more. So I would have moved on from Marsh, but I also get like maybe there's just nobody out there to move on to.
Right, and you probably, and I don't know the salary situation too. That how much you're paying with Marsh.
Oh, it
Either.
ain't my money.
Yeah.
And they
So,
don't have a salary cap too, so who cares?
yep. The other teams in the conference that might give you some concern. Are you concerned about the New York Mets now?
I am concerned about the Mets. Concerned about the Braves, although I think the Braves pitching staff is subpar. You got a lot of guys coming off injuries, but that lineup the Braves have, oof. I mean,
That's the lineup you want. The hitting bombs.
oof. I mean, that kid Olson, he's the next Freddie Freeman. Um, yeah, they're trouble. I mean, the Phillies should still be. I know they're not the favorites. I think the Mets are the favorites to win the division. The Mets are a solid team, and they only got better. Did they catch lightning in a bottle last year? You could argue it, maybe, but maybe
Right.
they are good. Maybe they are. Maybe they're just playing to their potential.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I think the Phillies obviously make the playoffs clearly. I think they have a chance to win a division. I think they should be favorites to win the division, but they probably aren't, just because of all the hype around Soto, who, in my opinion, ain't no better. Is a Timu version of Andrew Jones. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, Soto's a great player, but like $700 million.
Well, in fairness, it's not your money, but at the same time, you would never pay a player that much money, correct?
Not no. He gets walks. Who cares?
Other teams in the NL, not just the division, but do the Dodgers give you cause for pause?
Yeah, they're the crown jewel. I mean, they just got better. I mean, which is crazy. They're the argument of the Dodgers and how they got their new free agents and the new Japanese guy. And the Padres. Padres are still very good. They scare me a little bit. They say like, oh, other teams can spend money, but they don't. But like, also, even if like the Kansas City Royals wanted to spend that money, right? They're not. They're going to make more money outside of baseball by playing in LA than they are going to be on the baseball field. So nobody ever takes that into consideration, I think, when it comes to these contracts. You make more money in endorsements, you make more money outside of baseball when you play in big markets like LA and New York than you do if you played in Minnesota.
Mhm.
Like the reason why Ichiro was able to make an impact when he came in is because he played on the West Coast, so Japanese viewership could watch him. If he played in Milwaukee or if he played in Boston, he would have never had the international impact, in my opinion, because nobody would be able to watch him.
Yep.
So it's like it is an unfair advantage that these West Coast teams can snatch up a lot of these international free agents, even though the other teams are willing maybe to spend money. Like the Tampa Bay Rays would never be able to afford or never be able to get these guys because there's no outside of baseball market for that guy in Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely something that factors into all of the sports stars, all of the just stars in general. Being in those locations affords you a lot of money outside of just what you do for your day to day. No doubt about it. All right, well, I'm going to switch over. I saw this picture online. I threw this out on our Instagram. It was a basketball picture. I don't know if you happen to see this or not, but it was the 5 different generations: the silent generation, the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. And they each had a starting 5. So actually, I think it'd probably be quicker if I text this to you so you can take a look at this.
I did not see this. I would like to though.
All right, so this is coming over to you right now. I have a definite answer on this one, but I'm kind of curious to see where. Let me know when it comes through.
Okay, it's coming through.
All right, good.
Hold on. Yep, there you go.
All right, cool. So right there, you've got your starting 5 for each. This is an audio podcast, so while you're taking a look, I'm going to call them out. The silent generation, when you look through the baby boomers, Gen X, it's got a starting 5 listed. Working Gen Z, look, little Jason Tatum, Ja. It's going to be Victor Wembanyama, Ant-Man, and Luca. You're starting 5 for the Gen Zers.
I think they're probably they probably, me. I'm a big older guys can't compete.
Yes.
With the new guys, but with that starting 5, they probably come in third.
All right, who do you like out of these starting five? If you're picking one group of starting five.
Oh boy. I love Gen
Or
X.
or who are you not picking? Let's put it that way.
I love Gen X. I absolutely love Gen X, but I love Gen X for the style they played during that time. The millennials, they should win because there's nobody that could guard from 3 point to 3 point. Jokic, KD, and Curry from any one of those teams. Um, and I just think the millennials stretch the floor a little bit more than Gen X does.
Are we in agreement, as really quick, that we can just get rid of the silent generation?
Yeah, they're cooked. They're
Right,
cooked. They're like,
because they stand no chance. Even though you can't stop any twos, they won't stop any threes. Right. So we'll get rid of the silent generation. Getting back to the audio side, the baby boomers. We haven't mentioned them yet. Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird. Your starting five for the boomers. What does that team offer you that maybe the others do or don't?
Jordan. That's it.
Okay. I happen to agree with you, by the way. The Gen X squad, I think, is the clear-cut pick out of these five. Because I feel like they can guard the boomers and outscore from three, but I also think a couple can match up. Like AI is running with one of those three.
AI is keeping up with Magic. I'm sorry, he's just keeping up with Magic. He may not, he loses out on size, but AI is a dog. And
AI is a dog.
He's staying with Magic.
Kobe is staying with Mike.
Kobe staying with Mike. They're going to lock each other up. They may actually start fighting each other on the sideline.
Absolutely. Kevin Garnett is going to stay with Barkley. They're going to get into an altercation.
Kevin Garnett is going to, in my opinion, Barkley can't guard Garnett. He's too long. Garnett is way too long.
Way too long. Tim Duncan is going to have to hang with Magic. But Magic.
No. Larry.
With Larry?
You got to put Timmy on Larry. Because if AI is going one-on-one with Magic, you got to put Timmy on Bird.
All right, that could be an issue. But Larry Bird wasn't that fast. Great shooter, but Tim Duncan's longer. And then you got Shaq, obviously, with Hakeem.
Yeah, and Hakeem can't stop Shaq's big ass.
Yes, I agree. Millennial-wise. Oh, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I think Gen X is the clear-cut favorite here. I think millennials are 2. Gen Z is probably 3. Boomers are 4. Silent generation's 5. And the reason why I say Gen Z is 3.
That's interesting to me.
Yeah, is because of the 3. Like, again, it's the 3 versus the 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think every single one of those guys on Gen Z will eventually 3 them into a win.
All right, that's fair. Match up Gen X and the millennials. Who's guarding who?
You got to put.
Who runs with Steph? Kobe.
It's got to be AI.
Oh, AI. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be AI. I think Steph and AI, because they're both shifty but small. So I think they both. I think they both. I think you probably put LeBron on Kobe.
Yes,
that is a mismatch.
LeBron's a ton.
LeBron's a ton. KD on Garnett.
On Garnett.
That's a little bit of a mismatch. But then here's where they make it up. Shaq and Tim Duncan versus Jokic and James Harden.
Yeah.
I
can't believe Harden's in that squad, to be honest.
No, he doesn't belong in that. So he's not supposed to be in that squad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If anything, if you want to put a second guard in that, you don't put James Harden, you put Russell Westbrook.
That's what I was going to say too. I'm surprised he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Maybe a Chris Paul.
Maybe Chris Paul too. But yeah, I wouldn't have Harden there because all he does is Harden's a defensive liability.
Yes.
Like he can't guard anybody on that team. Yeah, and I think you could put Tim Duncan on LeBron. But if LeBron gets a full head of steam, you're in trouble. Jokic is not stopping Shaq,
Correct.
but
But
then
Joke,
Shaq's
I was going to say Shaq can't hang with him outside. Jokic will
not
throw him up.
not on the perimeter now. So the Millennials and Gen X is going to be the funnest game to watch.
It would be a boring ass game because the millennials are outside and Gen X is just going to cut them down underneath.
Yeah. Can Gen X hang with the threes enough? I think they can.
The millennials control their destiny. Let's put it that way. If they're shooting,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
tough out, right?
If the Millennials are on there, they're going to win.
Yeah. All right. I
But
love these. I love
still,
these
I
starting
still
five.
give Gen X the nod.
All right, got it. Yeah, I love these starting five things. So I figured we'd bring that up and talk a little hoops because our Sixers are just not necessarily giving us much to talk about right now.
I mean, you know who the Millennials could put in there that would actually probably put them over the top?
Yeah.
If you replace Harden with Giannis. And if you replace Harden with Giannis, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's a huge problem because then
How is Giannis not on this list?
I don't know. Maybe that's why he's not on that list.
Yeah.
Because if you put Giannis on there with KD, Jokic, and Giannis, holy shit, that's 6'10" and above that can run and shoot.
That's a problem.
That is
maybe that's too much, like you say. Doesn't make it even.
Yep.
All right, very interesting. All right, well, we've got one more segment. Good hoops talk out of you, buddy. I love it. You make me happy when I hear the hoops talk. But we are going to work in a little bit of Eagles talk tonight. And right now, I'm on the SPO track or spot rack or however it's pronounced. But I've got the list up of the Eagles free agents. This team is going to look very different next year. Potentially not from an offensive side. There's a way that you could see a lot of these starters all return. Not probable, but possible. But on the defensive side of things, we've got some free agents we have to worry about. And right now we're at 13.5 million right now in cap space. So what I have called up are all the free agents, and I'm going to let the Mayhem kind of talk about re-signing or letting him go. And right now we're just going to use the market average. So if Dom decides we're going to re-sign somebody, it'll just be market average, and I'll give you the updated cap hit. And once you go over, I'll let you know you can't make the move because you're too far over the cap.
Yep.
The contracts are listed right now by the biggest number working their way down. And then obviously we're going to get to a point where these numbers aren't going to really matter. But why don't we start out with the first one, Josh Sweat, right now?
I would not re-sign Josh Sweat.
Okay. And what's your reason for that?
I let him go. Because I feel like we have an up-and-coming kid in Jalix Hunt that can more than, in my opinion, like Jalix, this was supposed to be a red shirt year for Jalix Hunt. And he played and contributed, and he did well. And yes, I know we have a free agent that barely played this year who was supposed to be our free agent side, but he's coming back no matter what. If he can find some sort of form and be what Jalix Hunt was this year, and then have Jalix Hunt be what Sweat was this year, I think we're fine.
Yep. I happen to agree with that. Jalix Hunt played great. Now, does Jalix Hunt play so great because there's so much other talent around him? Does Jalix Hunt get exposed if maybe down the road you don't sign a Jalen Carter or a Jordan Davis?
That's this year. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
That's not something we got to worry about. The NFL is a 1 year, one problem per year thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just worried about 2025. I ain't worried about 2026 or 2027 yet.
I understand. Brandon Graham, next up on the list.
If he wants to come back and he takes a veteran minimum and it doesn't hurt us, sure, come back. But I'm fine with letting him go either way.
All right, so you will let him go or potentially bring him back? That's up to him.
If it doesn't hurt us, what would his cap hit be?
All right,
what's the veteran minimum? And it's got to be high for a guy at his tenure.
Yeah, you're signed back. It's nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
you got to sign him for the minimum. I mean, if you agreed to the minimum.
Yeah, and that would be fine.
1 year, $840,000.
So you probably get him for 1 year, $2 million, I would imagine. Maybe a contract that's laden with incentives. You bring him back for the league minimum, and then you say, "Hey, if you hit all these incentives, you make X amount of dollars." But that doesn't hit the cap those incentives don't hit the cap, correct?
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so you can just do that way, and it could be like, hey, if you play in 10 of the 16 games, you make $1 million. You know,
And
so
Brandon Graham, I was going to say at that point at 840, he's way down on your payroll. So that's
yeah,
not
so I'd
really
bring him back for that much. I'd bring him back if it was that much.
outside linebacker Zach Bond.
Here's a bag, Zach. Take the bag. Take the bag. Whatever you put whatever dollars you want in this bag and take it home to you. Take the bag, Zach. Sign him.
Signing contract via market value. So right now, market value on Zach Bond is 2 years at just under 20 million.
Ooh.
The cap hit this year is going to be 4.77 million. That's
Okay.
going to take you down to 9.73 million in cap space.
Sign him.
All right, so we're signing him. We're moving on. Next up, guard Mekhi Becton. Are you keeping him or getting rid of him?
I would like to keep him. Who do we have left? Can we skip Mekhi Becton?
Sure, we have a ton of people left.
Yeah, let's skip Mekhi Becton. Let's go back to him.
Okay, got it. Next up is Avonte Maddox.
I can let him go.
You can pass on. All right, how about CJ Uzoma, the tight end?
I can let him go.
Milton Williams, defensive tackle.
Here's another bag. Milton Williams, take the bag.
All right.
Milton Williams. What's the market on that one? That's got to be a big one.
3 years, 36 million. Cap hit's going to be 5 million.
Oof. Worth it. Give it to him.
Wait a second. Why didn't that go? Signed player. All right, so that takes us down to 5.68 million left. And we're also not talking free agent yet either. So there's also a free agent, market that we have to pull from as well.
Now, could you go over the cap if you sign free agents?
No.
But what about drafted kids?
Drafting is, the draft. Like, so when you go onto the draft, let me go over to what they can pay. Draft picks. So their first round pick, their cap is 2.4 million. To 2025. The second round is 1.23, 1.83, and then 1.32.
So that may be just our cap right there.
That's about it, give or take a little bit.
Can you go over the cap with drafted players? I think there's a way that you can, like, that hard cap doesn't apply to drafted players.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little bit of homework on how that all hits.
Well, let's just do the free agents now. Let's not worry about that.
All right, I like it. Rick Lovato, your long snapper.
League minimum?
League minimum, we're signing him. Signed to the minimum. Cap hit.
He'll take it. Where's he going?
Well, yeah, exactly. Rick Lovato, man, he's getting 1.19 million.
Probably like a $200,000 cap hit.
Right? LaRaven Clark, right tackle, backup tackle.
See ya. Bye.
Owen Burks, inside linebacker.
Yeah, sign him. Sign him.
Sign him?
Sign him. What's his
so let's sign it to the minimum. That's another 1.197 cap space. Now you're at 5.20 million.
That's worth it because I still don't trust Nakobe Dean's health.
Yeah.
So give me Oren Burks. He did really well.
Which takes us to Fred Johnson, tackle.
You can let him go.
Jack Driscoll, guard.
Let him go.
Nick Gates, backup center.
Let him go.
Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback.
Sign him.
Sign him. Let's sign it to the league minimum. Let's hope he takes it. You're at 5.039.
What's the market value for him? He probably won't, for Isaiah Rodgers. He probably won't get it.
1.197 million.
Why don't we give him that? He won't take the league minimum.
Well, you're going to need him to if he wants to win another ring. Let's put it that way.
He's not going to. He's got a ring.
Britton Covey.
Britton Covey, league minimum. He ain't going nowhere.
All right, sign it to the league minimum. Hold on, let's check this out. Sign minimum. All right, cap hit. All right, you're at 4.8 million left. Kenneth Gainwell.
I don't think we can keep him. That's a problem because Kenny Gainwell He did really well in spelling. And listen, I would love to have him. I just don't think you can keep him. I don't see an avenue back. Who do we have? Can we skip Gainwell? Skip Gainwell.
That's it. Once you're done Gainwell, then you're out.
Oh, okay. So we got.
And sorry to interrupt you, but you also haven't addressed Mekhi Becton yet either.
Well, let's go back to Becton. Let's see what's his cap hit.
All right. So, well, just to give
Well,
you a
where
head.
are we? What if we try to sign both of them? What are their?
Well,
cap
let's
hits?
see. So right now, Kenny Gainwell, if you sign him, his cap hit is 1.82 million. Drops you to 4.14. If we try to get Becton, he's going to get 4 years at 40 million.
Oof.
And that is going to take you'll have 940,000 if you sign Becton. So essentially you're not signing any draft picks, I don't think.
Sign him.
So yeah. But you're letting go of Josh Sweat, Avonte Maddox, Uzomo, LaRaven Clark, Fred Johnson, Jack Driscoll, Nick Gates, and Van Sumeren. Yeah, Van Sumeren. Excuse me.
Yeah,
so that's what you have, and now you have $940,000 left to play with.
So I honestly think that with draft picks, I think like that doesn't get factored into a penalty. Well, you go over the luxury tax, obviously.
Yeah.
With certain people you sign and then they hit certain numbers. I'm pretty sure that draft picks don't get factored into that.
You can also restructure deals too, which would impact this. So for our purposes of going through this exercise, and I think this will be fun if we do some other teams in the league too, kind of going through and getting to play GM.
Yeah.
But, just basing with the league minimum and re-signing to market value, it kind of gives you a little bit more insight to, the GM side of things. So
I mean, if we didn't sign Mekhi Becton, I don't think it would be the worst thing.
Okay.
I think Steen is more than capable of being a starter in this league. So would I feel comfortable with letting Becton walk? Sure. But I want to make sure that money that we have is used wisely in getting a backup for Steen and also another backup pass rusher for Jalix Hunt and Bryce Huff.
And you're looking to address that in the draft.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. We agree. All right, man. Well, that is all the time we have left for What Would Dom Do?
That's what I would do. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I hate to say this because this makes for such a boring episode. I actually agree with every decision you made. Becton would be an absolute last resort because I think you can either draft enough to kind of get with Steen and a backup to have enough play because Becton was hurt as well. He was a first-round draft pick, a very high talent, but maybe not performing up to that level. I actually agree with every single move you made. I let Sweat go because of the way Jalix Hunt played. And like you said, in 2025, I have enough talent around me that can hog up enough attention so that Jalix Hunt could have another successful year. And I absolutely pay Zach Bond.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? Maybe there's another reason why we signed Mekhi Becton is because do we know how much longer Lane Johnson's going to play?
Yeah, so I don't know how much longer he's going to play, but let's go back to the roster. Right now,
what has he got left?
His contract ends in 2027. He's a free agent in 27. And right now,
I can't imagine he's playing pitch.
A 2-year deal worth $60 million. So you're going to have to pay a ton of money. And not to mention, too, you're still paying Jason Kelce. You're still paying Fletcher Cox. Those are huge dead cap hits right now.
Lane will restructure.
Devin White, you're still paying a ton of money to. So
will that come off the books next year?
I don't see 26 yet. It just has 25 up here. So it's a good question.
I think Devin White comes off the books. I think Kelce comes off. I think there's a lot of dead cap hits that are coming off the books. And you probably have a lot. Are you still playing Wentz?
Are you still what?
We still have a dead cap hit against Wentz? Or is that done?
Done.
Okay. Because that was a big one.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, nothing there. So we're all good there. All right, my man. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Metrics and Mayhem. Dom, always a pleasure, my friend. And I'll see you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday.
Everybody else, have a great one. Thanks for tuning in and checking it out. Bye-bye.